Have you ever been lost in a big capital city with no batteries, no SIM card, no cash, and have absolutely no idea how to find your way? And when was the last time you actually bought one of those paper maps that we used to have back in those days? Luckily, there's one thing you can always rely on when you're lost. And what are those? The friendly locals. However, it comes at a bit of a price. You definitely need to know what you're asking for. So in today's lesson, I am going to show you different helpful tips and how to ask for directions and how to also give directions if you wish. On commence. Welcome back. If today is your first time, thank you so much for watching. I'm Sumo, and let's get started on today's lessons on directions. Now, for a first-time traveler or someone visiting a francophone country or just relocating for the first time, it might be a bit difficult for you to ask questions. You don't know how to say behind the street, I'm going west, I'm going north, how do I find my way, I'm in front of the post office. There's so many ways to say that. But in today's lesson, do not worry, just bring out your pen and paper and I'm going to help you out. The first we're going to look at is le nord. Le nord. And this means what? The north. So for instance, with le nord, someone might ask you a question, you do not know how to exactly respond. Probably you want to ask someone, oh, where are we going? And someone wants to tell you, we will head north. You can say, nous irons vers le nord. Nous irons vers le nord. Okay? So the north is le nord, or you can say e nord. Okay? Let's take a look at the second direction. The second is le sud or e sud. Okay, so for example, elle habite au sud de Paris. Elle habite au sud de Paris. Let's look at a third way of asking for directions or giving directions. Another important one is the east, okay, which is l'est. L'est, nord. We've looked at sud, which is south. Now we're looking at east, which is l'est. Let's take a look at a sample sentence. An example, Annecy est à 2 heures à l'est de Lyon. So perhaps you want to ask someone, oh, okay, I'm trying to travel to this place, to Annecy. How do I get there? The person might explain to you that, oh yeah, it's just 2 hours away from Lyon. So once you go right or left or you go under the bridge, you get there. So you see, you're using l'est, which is the east, to explain where the direction of where you're going to is. And the fourth one is l'ouest, which is what? The west, l'ouest. So perhaps you're speaking to that same person. The person says, oh, be careful, faire attention, n'allez pas vers l'ouest. N'allez pas vers l'ouest, which means do not go towards the west. So stick to the east, do not go towards the west. Now, another way for asking directions or giving directions, you need to know what left and right is. So for the fifth, we're going to look at what is right. It is la droite. Or you can also say à droite. La droite or à droite. Let's look at a sample. À votre droite, il y a des palmiers. À votre droite, il y a des palmiers. Now, let's look at what? The left side, which is what? À gauche. À gauche. À gauche. Let's look at a sample. Entrez dans le bâtiment et virez à gauche vers les ascenseurs. So you see, we've mixed two words and we've mixed left together, but it's okay. Now you know what north, south, west, east, and right and left are. Let's look at another really important way for asking directions or giving directions. Tout droit. Tout droit, which means straight ahead. So you're telling someone, just keep going straight ahead. Tout droit. Tout droit. So perhaps you can say, continuez tout droit et vous arriverez au cinéma. Okay? So you're telling someone, just keep going straight ahead. You're eventually going to arrive at the cinemas. Let's look at an eighth way of asking for directions. So the eighth way is derrière, which means like behind or in the back of. So derrière. And you get to use this quite a ton depending on what you're talking about. Let's look at a sample. Vous trouverez un petit café derrière les statues. Okay? Let's look at the ninth one. The ninth one, au coin de. Au coin de. So I can say, le supermarché est au coin de la rue. Le supermarché est au coin de la rue. Okay? Let's look at another one. Au bout de. Au bout de. And this means what? At the end of. Okay, you know, we just looked at the corner of. So now we're looking at the end of. So, for example, le supermarché est au bout de la rue. So, you know, we just use au coin de, which is at the corner of. But at the end of, you would say au bout de la rue. Okay, if you're liking this video so far, please don't forget to give it a like, share, subscribe. Let's look at another way for asking for direction. La prochaine rue. Okay, this is another one. La prochaine rue. And it's quite common. You hear this. Someone might tell you it's on the next street. So you're lost. You don't know what you're looking for as always. And you're like, where is it? Where is it? And oh, la prochaine rue. La prochaine rue. The next street. Okay, so when you hear that, just to make you know, street is what? La rue. Rue is street. So la prochaine rue. The next street. So I can say, vous devez prendre la prochaine rue, which is you have to take the next street. Vous devez prendre la prochaine rue. So once again, you're lost and you don't know where to go. The person is saying, oh, vous devez prendre la prochaine rue. You have to take the next street to get to the Eiffel Tower, to get to the museum, wherever it is you're going to. Let's look at another way that a local could tell you that would help you find directions. À côté de. À côté de. And this means next to. À côté de. Now, for example, you could hear someone say les principales attractions situées à côté de la Tour Eiffel. Okay, so you've seen they've used the à côté de just to kind of explain to you where you're going. So it's next to wherever it is you want to visit. Okay, let's look at another one. Another way, est-ce que c'est loin proche? Est-ce que c'est loin ou proche? Which literally means is it far or is it near? Est-ce que c'est loin ou proche? So you can ask, où est le métro le plus proche? Which is, where is the nearest subway station? So you've already used the proche to just show that where is the nearest when you're going to, how far is it, okay? So I could also say, le musée du Louvre est-il loin d'ici? So you see, we use proche for the first one just to see how near the subway station is. And now we're using loin just to know how far the museum is, okay? So you're picking up these words that they use for directions to understand left, right, à gauche, à droite, nord, sud, l'est, l'ouest, and so many others. Let's take a look at some more. Next is devant, which is in front of. Devant, in front of. So perhaps you can say, on se retrouve devant la gare. Maybe you're talking to a friend, both of you are lost, you don't know where you are, and the only landmark you can find is the station. So you just say, allô, oui, on se retrouve devant la gare. Let's meet in front of the station. So it's easier for both of us to know where we are at once and we're not just running around like headless chickens. Let's take a look at another way to ask, or another way to just tell someone where they are. Près de. Près de, which means near to. I know we looked at proche, but don't mistake it. Près de. Près de. So an example, someone might tell you, oh yeah, oui, je travaille près de la poste. Je travaille près de la poste. So at least you've picked up that word. And when next you want to speak with someone, you can make it that, okay, my hotel is near the next to. Do you get it? So you can just use that, which is very, very helpful. Let's look at another one. I might ask, est-ce une rue à sens unique? Est-ce une rue à sens unique? And do you know what that means? Is this a one-way street? Correct. So perhaps I'm driving, I don't know where I'm going. Definitely, I want to be sure so that no police catches me or anything. I can just ask, is this a one-way street? And the next one say, yes, you can go that way. It's not, or it is. So perhaps you're rushing after someone has already told you, okay, it's not a one-way street, and you want to ask maybe, how can I get from here to here? What do I do? Where's the fastest way that will get me there? Let's look at a sample of how you can ask. So I can say, quelle est la route la plus rapide pour se rendre de l'hôtel à la plage? Okay, so that really helps me know what is the fastest way I can get to from the hotel to the beach so that I can get a suntan and just relax basically. Let's look at another one. Now, this one has to do with money because perhaps you run out of money, you don't have any cash on you, and you want to ask someone, where is the nearest ATM machine? How do I get to the nearest ATM machine? Let me help you. What do you say? Où est le guichet automatique le plus proche? And that's simple. Where is the nearest ATM machine? So there we have it for today. Now you're able to understand directions. You're able to at least ask people for directions. You know when they're saying you should go left, you should go straight down, you should go right, or wherever you just missed is behind you. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and you've been able to at least master some different ways in which you can ask for directions in the French language, or at least even give someone directions if you're an intermediate speaker. It's perfectly fine if you're unable to remember every single thing in just this lesson. What I would advise is to write it down and just keep practicing and you'll figure it out. Until I see you in the next lesson, watch this video. Bonne journée!